evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal the International. I'm called Maureen. This exactly at 6:15 at Top Stories. An order from a fraction of the Ambazonian separatist movement has plunged Bamenda and his environ into a complete lockdown. The announced 2 weeks lockdown is said to have sent a message ahead of the UN General Assembly that normally has not yet returned to the conflict-hit zones of regions despite an improved back-to-school record. Persons have been burned to death in an accident that occurred a few kilometers from Bangante on the Bafoussam-Yaoundé highway. And Cameroon joins the rest of the world today to celebrate World Democracy Day at a time when most of the tenets of democracy had not been respected. And we now will also talk culture in this edition of the Newscast, a famous entertainment award show which celebrates arts and culture in Cameroon enter its 13th edition this year. These are polls. The full list of nominees are now known, and with lots of excitement from fans. Those are major stories. Details right ahead. An order from a fraction of the Ambazonian separatist movement has plunged Bamenda and its environ into a complete lockdown. The announced 2 weeks lockdown is said to have sent a message ahead of the UN General Assembly that normalcy has not yet returned to the conflict-hit regions despite an improved back-to-school record. As we hear the following story, Regina Leketandak.
Most parts of the town of Bamenda and many other localities in the northwest region have since this Wednesday morning been void of their usual economic, educational, administrative, social and cultural activities. The move is widely seen as the beginning of what a faction of the Ambazonian separatist leaders say it is 2 weeks lockdown. Frightened by the future effects of the lockdown, inhabitants of Bamenda on Tuesday jumped the streets and markets to purchase and stock food and other supplies, as only weekend promises to be free for normal activities. As if to frighten and press for the respect of the shutdown, the population of Bamenda on Tuesday woke up to discover coffins and some fetish objects placed over the night at many road junctions, supposedly by separatist fighters. Gendarmes of the Bamenda 2 Territorial Brigade at Ntarikong were later seen destroying the coffins and the black magic at the Old Simplicity Junction behind the Ntarikong Market. As for the reason of this other call for a long stay at home, which many thought could not happen again, the separatist factions say it is to show the world, ahead of the upcoming United Nations General Assembly, that normalcy has not yet returned in the restive northwest and southwest regions, though school resumption has recorded a marked improvement 1 week ago.
Having lost their husbands, homes and livelihoods in the armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, widows and IDPs seeking refuge in Mutengene in the southwest region of Cameroon have turned into agriculture for survival. So these are victims of the crisis. Only support from goodwill persons can help them, relieve them from their pain and agony. Regina Leketandak once more.
Mama said to go buy plantain for Kata, bring out the safe here, or manage the life as difficulties with the worry. So one day he go bring the chop, they can't cash it right from market, say it be amber. The lucky we are there with baby belly and what the labor that same day.
I come time with the run, kill my husband, I run with picking them. I come down from Tengene for one of my family, he just died last month when I did.
Chilling testimonies of the agony of women rendered widows and displaced as a result of the armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon.
As a bonner, and nobody help me can pay my hospital bill. I come out for us. I come out hospital account for us. Thing will chop no day, and nobody they help me give me chop. So now so a friend can tell me say it dey boy have a brigade.
In this 1 hectare farmland in Ombe, in the southwest region, these widows are struggling to regain their livelihoods from cassava to maize, groundnuts and potatoes. These widows and IDPs are turning to agriculture for survival. The program is being coordinated by a philanthropist and a Catholic Church coordinator of IDPs, Leketiodo.
To do is approach NGOs to ask them help the widows. It has not been easy. The situation is so pathetic, such that if they wait only for handouts, rice, oil, on whatever consumable handout, it does not take long for them to survive with their families. Some of them have more than 10 people under their roof.
But this has not come without challenges.
I would only cry and say, me they find we way, we go to suffer. When we cancel, we make grass for hand. We no get chemical, we no get spraying can, we no get hoe, and we begin the day they suffer for school when every day they drive. And now so
more than 1,000 displaced persons are said to be seeking refuge in Motengene, according to statistics gathered by this program. For 4 years, the Widow, Orphans and IDP program has been struggling to support these persons. What remains highly challenging is the number keeps increasing due to the raging tensions in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon.
4 persons have been burned to death in an accident that occurred a few kilometers from Bangante in on the Bafoussam Yaoundé highway. The victims were on board a car that bumped into a truck. Both vehicles got burned. The truck driver and his conductor are currently on the run. The details with Gladys Ambo Ziba.
The victims are all members of the same family, including their daughter-in-law with her 1-year, 2-month-old baby. They were reportedly on board a Rafcat branded car heading to Yaoundé from Bafoussam in the West region. It was at this bend that the personal car allegedly attempted to overtake a vehicle but bumped into a truck transporting sand that was on high speed on the opposite direction. The truck allegedly dragged the car about 50 meters away, producing sparks that provoked fire, which ravaged both vehicles. 4 of those on board the car got burnt to death. We tried to put off the flames to no avail. We only managed to save a lady and her baby. From eyewitness accounts, the incident occurred at about 5 a.m. They heard a loud noise, and when they arrived at the scene, they could only save a lady and her baby. The car was twisted to the extent that they found it difficult to save the others. This is the baby and her mother, who were rescued by inhabitants who arrived at the scene immediately the incident happened. They are receiving treatment at the clinic of l'Université de Montagne. We received 2 accident victims, a lady and her daughter. She arrived here unconscious. We have been taking care of her and she has regained consciousness. We are still running some tests to find out if she has internal bleeding or not. That is our main worry. It reportedly took 3 hours for firefighters to extract the charred bodies.
Cameroon joins the rest of the world today to commemorate and celebrate World Democracy Day at a time when the tenets of democracy are not being respected, even though the Central African nation has made strides since the reintroduction of multi-party politics. Observers say Cameroon has a long way in its democracy journey, as Regina Leketanda tells us more.
Since the reintroduction of multipartyism in 1990, Cameroon is said to have made strides in becoming a democratic nation.
At the early 90s, it was very difficult for people to really express their vote, cast their vote. But now, with the independent body ELECAM created, with many other achievements that have been brought by the government, we can say that we have some strides. We are moving forward to become a real democracy.
To some observers, however, one of the tenets of democracy, the separation of power, remains highly impracticable in Cameroon, thereby stifling the democratic process.
power is in the hands of a single person with hyper concentration. At the presidency, resources are managed and directed by a single person. Individuals are stronger than institutions.
A situation that has made the younger generation less interested in politics.
What's happening here is rigging of elections, is repression, and all these things have coalesced to make Cameroonians and youth in particular to be apolitical. It accounts for the voters' apathy that you see in elections, less participation of citizens in political matters, and this is our country. This is our country. The country has been ruled by 4 decades of pure dictatorship.
Celebrated under the theme Strengthening Democracy Resilience in the Face of Future Crisis, the 2021 edition of the World Democracy Day, celebrated this September 15, gives nations the possibility of making government more of the people and by the people.
Pharmacies who by any means cooperate with dealers of illicit drugs have been warned to refrain from their fishy activities or face the wrath of the government. The National Council of Pharmaceutical Society in Cameroon gave the warning today in a press conference in Yaoundé. Hyson Cha has the rest of the story.
The growing phenomenon of the sales of illicit and roadside drugs, pharmacies lament, continue to cause more harm than good to the health of consumers, with the side effects far-reaching.
More than half of the population do not go to the pharmacy, a practice that deteriorates the health of the population.
Talking to the men and women of the press, this September 15 in Yaoundé, the National Council for the Pharmaceutical Society of Cameroon sends warning signals to dealers of such medicines to desist from such practices before 2022 or will have to face the law accordingly.
La vente illicite est un fléau répréhensible.
There are legal provisions on that. As from 2022, we shall have to apply sanctions and arrest orders.
Après 2 ans d'explication.
The press conference was equally an occasion to pull the ears of pharmacists or other persons within the medical corps who act as accomplices in the dangerous business. Be rest assured, any pharmacist implicated in such fishy deals shall be heavily sanctioned. The media outing this day is in prelude of the World Pharmacy Day to be observed on September 25th, a forum to unveil some key activities to be carried out by pharmacists within the national territory in a bid to strengthen and fully institute some order within the profession.
The Professional Association of Pharmacists intends to mobilize pharmacists to take interest and communicate on the topic that challenge the profession today and tomorrow.
The Council equally announces measures on the way, working hand in glove with the government to establish more pharmacies in rural areas all over the country to rescue the local population from the hands of the illicit drug dealers.
A 55-year-old woman has delivered a baby girl after 4 surgery and 5 failed attempts to carry a baby via in vitro fertilization. Her baby is among the 3 babies delivered this Wednesday at the Yaoundé Gynecological Endoscopic Surgery and Human Reproduction Teaching Hospital in Yaoundé. The details with Beatrice Ngamu.
The journey started when a 55-year-old happy mother today was 50 years with big and many uterine fibroids. Since the fibroids could not be handled through endoscopic surgery, the abdomen was then opened.
The problem is that when you open the abdomen, it can end with a lot of pelvic adhesions, which can give this patient a lot of chronic pains, occlusion.
To find out if all is well, another operation was done, and it was discovered she had uterine synechia, meaning there was no uterine cavity again.
So we did laparotomy for myomectomy, then second look laparoscopy. For this case, for myomas in the cavity, we perform this myomectomy by hysteroscopy, then you do a second look hysteroscopy. This is 4 operations.
5 long years of medical attention with 5 failed in vitro fertilization trials. But neither the doctors nor the woman were discouraged. And at the 6th attempt, she was able to keep the pregnancy.
And we succeeded to have a baby. It's ended joyfully. Today, by cesarean section, one girl baby of 3.15 kilograms, and I think it's a very, very healthy baby. The
3.15 kilogram baby girl is among the 3 babies delivered by cesarean section this Wednesday at the Yaoundé Gynecological Endoscopic Surgery and Human Reproduction Teaching Hospital, Cliquez now has some 278 babies conceived through in vitro fertilization and delivered most often under very complicated and difficult situations.
The Minister of Secondary Education has dished out fresh warnings to schools who have neglected barrier measures against COVID-19. She demands that they adjust before Friday, September 17, or will face the wrath of government. As we end the following story with Haisincha.
3 days ultimatum for colleges that have gradually been neglecting the respect of barrier measures against the COVID-19 to get back to the prescribed measures or face the wrath of Minister Nalova Lyonga. In a communique signed this Tuesday, the Minister of Secondary Education noted with regret that students in some schools do not wear face masks nor observe social distancing. Some schools still harbor more than 80 students per class instead of the 50 as stipulated by the government. Visiting some schools this morning in the nation's political capital, the respect of the measures still at a high esteem. All students, except during eating moments, holding tight to their face mask.
Who are well masked. We have the buckets filled with clean water for students to wash their hands, particularly when they're coming in the morning and when they're going out during break.
But teachers equally underline the difficulties in respecting social distancing, especially during recreational periods.
In a school environment like this, social distancing is practically impossible because during classes we can do that by spacing out the benches, but when it's break time, how many of them will respect it? Though we hammer on it, but the respect is not really effective because they are kids. You always see them running into each other.
With the ministerial warnings, school authorities say punitive measures are already instituted for hesitant students.
There is no student that is permitted to enter the school campus without a face mask.
Before a teacher even enters, you put on a blouse and a nose mask before I grant you access to enter into the class.
And some have pledged to tighten vigilance after the ministerial cautioning.
Tomorrow, by 7:30, all those children who came with not having no mask cannot enter in the college.
The checking of temperature every morning, still very effective in other institutions.
And we now talk culture. The famous entertainment award which celebrates culture and arts in Cameroon, Canal enters its 13th edition of this year. The full list of nominees are now known, provoking reacting from fans across Africa at large. The details in the following story with Saleh Sherifa.
Just hours after the official unveiling of the list of nominees for the Canal Awards, it's been pure excitement and anxiety on the streets of Douala as the countdown to the highly anticipated October 30th event officially kicks off. The nominated entertainers are filled with joy and are impatiently waiting to witness the grand cultural event.
Je leur souhaite bonne chance s'ils gagnent.
I wish others good luck, because if they win, it will be of great joy to accept their victory. May God bless Canal because it encourages us to work hard. Thank you, Canal International. Thank you, Canal
qui nous valorise énormément.
Last year, I was nominated in the category of folk artist. So when the list of that category passed, I was like, I'm not among this year. But towards the end, I see best public artist. I was like, wow, it's now the public.
It's actually a prize that is so valuable and it's also recognized internationally. So today we would like to thank Canal International for the amazing work that they do in recognizing, all Cameroonian artists doing an amazing work.
The unveiling has kept so many on suspense, be it stars as fans. Following the official release, Voting will eventually kick off in a week's time, where fans will have a chance of voting for the very best who will go home with the award in different categories.
And that report brings us to the end of this edition of Newscast on Canal International. Thanks so much for watching. We have news in the French language at exactly 7:50 this never second. Or Alain Gislain Kanga. But coming up next is the brief. As for me, I'll be back tomorrow for another edition. Good night.